Have you ever noticed how often you use the word very in your daily English? Maybe you say, very good, very tired, very happy, or very important. It's easy, it's safe, and it feels natural. But here's a secret. Native English speakers rarely use very as much as learners do. In fact, if you want to sound more fluent, more confident, and more like a native, you need to break free from the very trap. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. This isn't just another vocabulary lesson. This is your invitation to upgrade your English, to step into a world where your words have power, precision, and personality. Because the truth is, very is a crutch. It's a shortcut, and it's holding you back from expressing yourself in ways that are truly impressive. Imagine you're in a conversation with a native English speaker. You want to say you're very tired. But what if you said, I'm exhausted? Instantly, your English sounds richer, more natural, and more expressive. Or maybe you want to say something is very important. But what if you said, it's crucial? Suddenly, you're not just speaking English, you're commanding attention. That's the power of using the right words. And that's what you're going to learn today. But before we dive into the 20 powerful words that native English speakers use every day instead of very, let's talk about why this matters. Why should you care about replacing very? Why not just keep using it? The answer is simple. Language is about connection. When you use the same words over and over, your speech becomes predictable, even boring. But when you choose words that are precise and vivid, people listen. They remember you. They feel what you're saying. And that's the difference between speaking English and living English. Let's be honest. Most English learners are taught to play it safe. You learn the basics, you memorize the rules, and you stick to what you know. But if you want to stand out, if you want to be remembered, you have to take risks. You have to step outside your comfort zone. And that starts with your vocabulary. Think about it. When was the last time someone complimented you on your use of very? Probably never. But if you use words like thrilled, ancient, or brilliant, people notice. They see you as someone who really knows the language, someone who's not just learning English, but mastering it. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but isn't very just easier? Isn't it enough? Sure, it's easy, but easy doesn't get you noticed. Easy doesn't get you remembered. And easy doesn't get you the job, the friends, or the opportunities you want. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want to be respected, you need to speak with confidence. And confidence comes from knowing you have the right words for every situation. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you 20 powerful words that native English speakers use every day instead of very. For each word, I'll show you how to use it, give you real-life examples, and explain why it's better. By the end of this video, you'll have a toolkit of words that will make your English sound more natural, more impressive, and more like a native English speaker's. But more than that, you'll have the confidence to use them. Because knowing the words is only half the battle. Using them is what makes the difference. Let's start with a simple truth. Very is a lazy word. It's what we say when we can't think of anything better. But you're not lazy. You're here because you want to improve, you want to grow, and you want to sound amazing in English. So let's get started. The first word on our list is exhausted. Instead of saying very tired, say, I'm exhausted. Listen to the difference. I'm very tired versus I'm exhausted. Which one sounds stronger? Which one makes you feel the emotion? Exhausted paints a picture. It tells the listener exactly how you feel. And that's what great communication is all about. Next up is thrilled. Instead of very happy, say, I'm thrilled. Imagine you just got a new job, or you passed an important exam. You could say, I'm very happy, but that sounds flat. If you say, I'm thrilled, people know you're truly excited. It's a word that carries energy. It makes your happiness contagious. Let's keep going. How about ancient? Instead of very old, say ancient. Maybe you're talking about a building, a tradition, or even a joke. That building is very old is fine, but that building is ancient, is memorable. It adds drama. It makes your listener imagine something from another era. Now, let's talk about crucial. Instead of very important, say crucial. If you're in a meeting and you want to stress the importance of a decision, don't say, "This is very important." Say, "This is crucial." It's a word that demands attention. It tells people to pay close attention because what you're saying matters. Here's another one. Brilliant. Instead of very smart, say brilliant. Maybe you're talking about a colleague, a friend, or even yourself. She's very smart is a compliment, but she's brilliant is a statement. It's a word that native speakers use to show real admiration. Now, let's pause for a moment. Do you see the pattern? Each of these words replaces very plus an adjective with a single powerful word. This isn't just about vocabulary. It's about thinking differently. It's about seeing yourself as someone who deserves to speak with power and precision. But maybe you're worried. Maybe you think, but what if I use the word wrong? What if people laugh at me? Here's the truth. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. What matters is that you try. What matters is that you're willing to grow. And every time you use one of these words, you're taking a step closer to fluency. So, are you ready to keep going? Are you ready to learn the next set of powerful words that will transform your English? Because this is just the beginning. The more you learn, the more confident you'll become. And the more confident you become, the more opportunities you'll have. Let's keep building your vocabulary and your confidence. Remember, every new word you learn is a tool. It's a way to express yourself more clearly, more powerfully, and more authentically. So let's dive into the next set of words that will help you break free from the very habit and sound more like a native speaker every day. The next word is starving. Instead of saying very hungry, say, "I'm starving." Picture this. You've just finished a long day at work or school, and you haven't eaten since breakfast. You could say, "I'm very hungry," but that doesn't really capture how you feel. If you say, "I'm starving," people immediately understand that you need food now. It's a word that adds urgency and emotion to your sentence. Now, let's talk about freezing. Instead of very cold, say, "It's freezing." Imagine you step outside on a winter morning and the air bites at your skin. You could say it's very cold, but that's what everyone says. If you say it's freezing, you paint a vivid picture. People can almost feel the chill just by hearing your words. Here's another powerful word. Enormous. Instead of very big, say enormous. Maybe you're describing a building, a problem, or even a meal. The house is very big is okay, but the house is enormous. Makes your listener imagine something truly impressive. It's a word that adds scale and drama to your description. Let's move on to tiny. Instead of very small, say tiny. Maybe you're talking about an apartment, a mistake, or even a detail. The room is very small is fine, but the room is tiny,
more expressive. It's a word that native speakers use all the time to emphasize just how little something is. Next up, terrified. Instead of very scared, say terrified. Imagine you're watching a horror movie, or you're about to give a big presentation. You could say, "I'm very scared," but that doesn't really show how intense your fear is. If you say, "I'm terrified," people know you're truly afraid. It's a word that carries weight and emotion. Let's talk about hilarious. Instead of very funny, say hilarious. Maybe you're telling a story about something that made you laugh until you cried. That movie was very funny is a compliment, but that movie was hilarious is a reaction. It tells people that it wasn't just a little funny, it was laugh out loud funny. Now let's look at filthy. Instead of very dirty, say filthy. Maybe you're talking about a room, a car, or even your hands after working outside. The kitchen is very dirty is clear, but the kitchen is filthy is stronger. It's a word that makes people imagine something truly messy or unclean.
Here's another one.
Spotless. Instead of very clean, say spotless. Maybe you're describing a hotel room, a kitchen, or your own home after a big cleaning session. The house is very clean is good, but the house is spotless is better. It means there isn't a single speck of dust or dirt anywhere. It's a word that shows real attention to detail. Let's keep going with ancient. We mentioned this word earlier, but it's worth repeating because it's so powerful. Instead of very old, say ancient. Whether you're talking about a building, a tradition, or even a joke, ancient adds a sense of history and depth that very old just can't match. Now, let's talk about gorgeous. Instead of very beautiful, say gorgeous. Maybe you're describing a person, a place, or even a meal. She's very beautiful is a compliment, but she's gorgeous is unforgettable. It's a word that native speakers use to show real admiration and appreciation. Here's a word that's perfect for describing something very bad. Awful. Maybe you're talking about a movie, a meal, or an experience. The food was very bad is clear, but the food was awful is stronger. It's a word that leaves no doubt about how you feel. Let's look at delicious. Instead of very tasty, say delicious. Maybe you're eating your favorite dish, or you've just tried something new. The cake is very tasty is nice, but the cake is delicious is better. It's a word that native speakers use all the time to describe food that's truly enjoyable. Now, let's talk about boiling. Instead of very hot, say it's boiling. Maybe you're talking about the weather, a drink, or even a room. The soup is very hot, it's fine, but the soup is boiling is more vivid. It's a word that makes people imagine steam rising and heat radiating. Here's another powerful word, silent. Instead of very quiet, say silent. Maybe you're describing a library, a moment, or a place. The room is very quiet is good, but the room is silent is better. It means there's not a single sound. It's a word that creates a strong image in the listener's mind. Let's move on to furious. Instead of very angry, say furious. Maybe you're talking about a reaction to bad news, a mistake, or an argument. He was very angry is clear, but he was furious is stronger. It's a word that shows real intensity. Now, let's talk about dull. Instead of very boring, say dull. Maybe you're describing a class, a meeting, or a movie. The lecture was very boring is fine, but the lecture was dull is more natural. It's a word that native speakers use all the time. Here's a word for very easy, effortless. Maybe you're talking about a task, a performance, or a conversation. The exam was very easy is clear, but the exam was effortless is impressive. It's a word that shows you didn't even have to try. Let's look at essential. Instead of very necessary, say essential. Maybe you're talking about a tool, a skill, or a step in a process. It's very necessary is fine, but it's essential is stronger. It's a word that shows something is absolutely required. Now, let's talk about packed. Instead of very crowded, say packed. Maybe you're describing a train, a concert, or a store. The bus was very crowded is clear, but the bus was packed is more vivid. It's a word that makes people imagine no space at all. Finally, let's end this section with superb. Instead of very good, say superb. Maybe you're talking about a performance, a meal, or a result. The presentation was very good is nice, but the presentation was superb is memorable. It's a word that shows real excellence. Now you have a powerful set of words to use instead of very. But knowing these words is just the beginning. The real magic happens when you start using them in your daily conversations, your writing, and your thinking. The more you use them, the more natural they'll feel. And the more natural they feel, the more confident you'll become.
Now that you have these powerful words in your vocabulary, let's talk about how to actually use them in real life. Because learning new words is one thing, but making them a natural part of your speech is another. This is where most English learners get stuck. They know the words, but when it's time to speak, they freeze. They go back to what's comfortable. They say, very, because it's safe. But you're not here to play it safe. You're here to stand out. Let's start with a simple exercise. Think about your daily routine. How many times do you say things like very tired, very happy, or very good? Now, imagine replacing those phrases with exhausted, thrilled, or superb. How does that change the way you sound? How does it change the way people see you? The truth is, the words you use shape the way others perceive you. If you use basic words, people see you as basic. If you use powerful words, people see you as powerful. But here's the challenge. Change is uncomfortable. When you try to use new words, you might feel awkward at first. You might worry about making mistakes. You might even feel like you're pretending to be someone you're not. But that's just your brain trying to protect you from embarrassment. The reality is, every native speaker was once a beginner. Every fluent English speaker had to learn these words just like you. The only difference is, they kept going. They kept practicing. And eventually, these words became second nature. So, how do you make these words a natural part of your English? The answer is simple. Practice, practice, practice. Start small. Pick 1 or 2 words from the list and use them every day for a week. Maybe you choose exhausted and delicious. Every time you want to say very tired, say exhausted instead. Every time you want to say very tasty, say delicious. At first, it might feel strange, but after a few days, it will start to feel normal. And once it feels normal, add another word, then another. Before you know it, you'll be using all 20 words without even thinking about it. Let's make this even more practical. Here are some real-life situations where you can use these words. Imagine you're at work, and your boss asks how you're feeling after a long week. Instead of saying, "I'm very tired," you say, "I'm exhausted." Your boss immediately understands the intensity of your fatigue. Or maybe you're at a restaurant with friends and you try a new dish. Instead of saying, "This is very tasty," you say, "This is delicious." Your friends notice your choice of words and you sound more fluent. Now let's talk about storytelling. One of the best ways to practice new vocabulary is by telling stories. Native speakers love stories, and they use powerful words to make their stories more interesting. For example, instead of saying, "We went to a very big concert," you could say, "We went to an enormous concert." Instead of, "The weather was very cold," say, "The weather was freezing." These small changes make your stories more vivid and engaging. But what about writing? Whether you're writing an email, a message, or even a social media post, using these words can make your writing stand out. Instead of writing, "Thank you for your very kind help," try, "Thank you for your superb help." Instead of, "The meeting was very important," write, "The meeting was crucial." These words show that you have a strong command of English, and they make your writing more professional. Let's address a common fear. What if you use the word incorrectly? What if you say exhausted when you should have said tired? Here's the truth. Mistakes are part of learning. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. The important thing is that you're trying, and the more you try, the better you'll get. If you're not sure about a word, look it up. Listen to how native speakers use it. Practice with friends, teachers, or even by yourself. The more you use these words, the more confident you'll become. Now let's talk about the psychology of language. When you use powerful words, you don't just change the way others see you, you change the way you see yourself. You start to feel more confident, more capable, and more fluent. This confidence shows in your body language, your tone of voice, and your attitude. People respond to confidence. They listen more closely, they respect your opinions, and they remember what you say. But there's another benefit to using these words. You become a better listener. When you know more words, you can understand more of what native speakers are saying. You pick up on the subtle differences between tired and exhausted, between funny and hilarious, between important and crucial. This makes conversations more interesting and helps you connect with people on a deeper level. Let's do a quick recap. You've learned 20 powerful words to replace very. You've learned how to practice them in your daily life, in conversations, in stories, and in writing. You've learned that mistakes are part of the process, and that confidence comes from using new words, not just knowing them. And you've learned that the words you use shape the way others see you and the way you see yourself. So, what's next? The next step is action. Don't just watch this video and forget what you've learned. Choose 2 words from the list and use them today. Write them down. Say them out loud. Use them in a sentence. Share them with a friend. The more you use them, the more natural they'll become. And the more natural they become, the more fluent you'll sound. Remember, language is a journey, not a destination. Every new word you learn is a step forward. Every mistake you make is a lesson. And every time you use a powerful word, you're building the future you want, one conversation at a time.
Let's take your learning even deeper. You now have a toolkit of powerful words and you know how to practice them. But to truly master these words, you need to understand the art of contrast. Contrast is what makes language memorable. It's what makes your words stand out in a sea of sameness. When you use contrast, you don't just communicate, you captivate. Think about it. If everyone around you is saying, "I'm very tired," and you say, "I'm exhausted," you immediately stand out. If everyone says, "It's very cold outside," and you say, "It's freezing outside," people notice. This is the power of contrast. It's not just about using different words, it's about using words that create a stronger image, a deeper feeling, and a more lasting impression. Let's look at some examples of contrast in action. Imagine you're in a meeting and someone says, "This project is very important." That's fine, but it's what everyone expects. Now imagine you say, "This project is crucial." Suddenly, people pay attention. The word crucial signals urgency, significance, and responsibility. It's a word that leaders use. It's a word that makes people listen. Or maybe you're at a party and someone says, "The food is very good." That's nice, but it's forgettable. Now imagine you say, "The food is superb." Instantly, your words carry more weight. People remember what you said. They might even repeat it later. That's the power of contrast. But contrast isn't just about vocabulary. It's about how you use your voice, your body language, and your timing. When you use a powerful word, pause for a moment. Let it sink in. Give your listener time to process what you've said. This creates emphasis and makes your words even more impactful. Let's practice this together. I'll give you a sentence with very, and you replace it with a powerful word. Ready? Here we go. I'm very hungry. Now say, I'm starving. It's very hot outside. Now say, it's boiling outside. She's very smart. Now say, she's brilliant. The room is very clean. Now say, the room is spotless. See how much stronger your sentences become? This is the kind of English that native speakers use every day. It's the kind of English that gets you noticed, respected, and remembered. But let's go even further. Let's talk about the emotional impact of your words. When you use words like exhausted, thrilled, or furious, you're not just describing a situation, you're sharing a feeling. You're inviting your listener to experience what you're experiencing. This creates connection. It builds trust, and it makes your conversations more meaningful. For example, if you say, I'm very happy, people know you're in a good mood. But if you say, I'm thrilled, they feel your excitement. They want to celebrate with you. Or if you say, I'm very scared,
people might feel sorry for you. But if you say, I'm terrified, they understand the intensity of your fear. They want to help you. This is the emotional power of language. Now let's talk about storytelling again. Great stories are built on contrast. They move from high to low, from happy to sad, from calm to excited. When you use powerful words, you create these contrasts naturally. For example, you might say, the weather was freezing, but the food was delicious. Or, the journey was exhausting, but the view was gorgeous. These contrasts make your stories more interesting and more memorable. But what if you're not sure which word to use? What if you're afraid of making a mistake? Here's a secret. Native speakers don't always use the perfect word. Sometimes they choose a word that's close enough. Sometimes they even invent new words. The important thing is to try. The more you experiment, the more you'll learn. And the more you learn, the more confident you'll become. Let's do another quick exercise. I'll give you a situation, and you choose the best word from your new vocabulary. You just finished a marathon. Are you very tired or exhausted? You just saw a comedy show. Was it very funny or hilarious? You just cleaned your house from top to bottom. Is it very clean or spotless? You just ate a huge meal. Are you very full or stuffed? These small changes make a big difference. They show that you're not just learning English, you're living English. Now let's talk about the long-term benefits of using powerful words. When you use words like crucial, gorgeous, or packed, you're not just improving your English, you're improving your life. You're building confidence, making connections, and opening doors to new opportunities. People notice when you speak well. They remember you. They want to work with you, be friends with you, and learn from you. But there's one more thing you need to know. Language is always changing. New words are created every day. Old words take on new meanings. The best English speakers are always learning, always growing, always adapting. So don't stop with these 20 words. Keep exploring, keep experimenting, keep pushing yourself to use new words, new phrases, and new ways of expressing yourself. Remember, the goal isn't to sound perfect. The goal is to sound real, to sound like you, to use words that reflect your personality, your experiences, and your dreams. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to try new things. And don't be afraid to stand out. You have the tools, you have the knowledge. Now it's time to use them. Speak with power. Speak with confidence. Speak with the kind of English that makes people stop and listen.
Let's take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. You started this journey with a simple goal, to stop saying very and to sound more like a native English speaker. But what you've gained is so much more than just a list of words. You've learned how to express yourself with clarity, with emotion, and with confidence. You've learned that language is not just about rules and grammar. It's about connection, about making people feel something, about leaving a mark. Now, let's talk about how you can keep this momentum going. Because real change doesn't happen overnight. It happens through small, consistent actions. The more you use these powerful words, the more natural they'll become. But you have to make a commitment to yourself. You have to decide that you're done with very. You have to decide that you're ready to speak with power. One of the best ways to do this is to create your own No Very challenge. For the next 7 days, every time you catch yourself about to say very, stop. Take a breath. Think of one of the powerful words you've learned. Use it instead. It might feel awkward at first. You might hesitate. You might even make mistakes, but that's okay. Every time you choose a stronger word, you're building a new habit. And habits are what shape your future. Let's make this even more practical. Write down the 20 words you've learned today. Keep them somewhere you can see them, on your phone, on your desk, or in your notebook. Every morning, pick one word and make it your word of the day. Use it as many times as you can. Notice how people react. Notice how you feel. You'll be surprised at how quickly your confidence grows. But don't stop there. Challenge your friends, your classmates, or your colleagues to join you. Make it a game. Who can use the most powerful words in a conversation? Who can tell the best story using their new vocabulary? Learning is always more fun when you do it together. And when you surround yourself with people who want to grow, you grow even faster. Now, let's talk about listening again. One of the best ways to learn how native speakers use these words is to listen to them in real life. Watch movies, TV shows, and YouTube videos. Listen to podcasts and audiobooks. Pay attention to how people use words like exhausted, gorgeous, or crucial. Notice the situations, the emotions, and the context. The more you listen, the more you'll understand the subtle differences between words. And the more you understand, the more natural your own English will become. Let's do a quick listening exercise. Imagine you're watching a movie and a character says, "I'm starving." What does that tell you about their situation? They're not just a little hungry, they need food right now. Or maybe you hear someone say, "The view is breathtaking." That's not just very beautiful, it's something so amazing it takes your breath away. These are the kinds of words that make English come alive. But what if you're not sure about a word? What if you hear a new word and you don't know what it means? Don't be afraid to ask. Native speakers love to explain their language. They'll respect you for wanting to learn. And every time you ask, you're adding another tool to your vocabulary toolbox. Now, let's talk about writing again. Whether you're writing an email, a report, or a social media post, using powerful words can make your writing stand out. But here's a secret. Great writing is about more than just big words. It's about choosing the right word for the right moment. Sometimes a simple word is best. Other times, a powerful word can make all the difference. The key is to be intentional. Don't just use a word because it sounds impressive. Use it because it's the best word for what you want to say. Let's practice together. I'll give you a sentence, and you rewrite it using a more powerful word. Original. The test was very easy. Rewrite. The test was effortless. Original. The city is very crowded. Rewrite. The city is packed. Original. The movie was very bad. Rewrite. The movie was awful. Original. The answer is very important. Rewrite. The answer is crucial. See how much stronger your sentences become? This is the kind of English that gets noticed. But let's not forget about the emotional side of language. When you use powerful words, you're not just showing off your vocabulary. You're sharing your feelings. You're letting people see who you are, what you care about, and what matters to you. This is what makes language beautiful. This is what makes conversations meaningful. So, as you move forward, remember this. Every word you choose is a reflection of you. Choose words that show your strength, your passion, and your personality. Don't settle for very. Don't settle for average. You have the power to speak with impact. You have the power to make people listen. And if you ever feel stuck, if you ever feel like you're not making progress, remember why you started. You started because you wanted more confidence, more connection, more opportunities. And every time you use a powerful word, you're getting closer to that goal. You're not just learning English, you're mastering it. You're not just speaking, you're inspiring. And you're not just using words, you're changing your world one conversation at a time.
Let's take everything you've learned and look at how these words can transform not just your English, but your life. Because language is more than just a tool for communication. It's a tool for thinking, for feeling, and for creating your reality. The words you choose shape your experiences, your relationships, and even your opportunities. When you stop saying very and start using powerful words, you're not just improving your English, you're upgrading your entire mindset. Think about the last time you had to introduce yourself in a new group, at work, or in a class. Maybe you felt nervous, unsure of what to say, or worried about making a mistake. Now imagine walking into that same room, but this time you have a set of words that make you sound confident, clear, and interesting. Instead of saying, "I'm very interested in this project," you say, "I'm passionate about this project." Instead of, "I'm very happy to be here," you say, "I'm thrilled to be here." These small changes make a big difference in how people see you and how you see yourself. Let's talk about job interviews. Employers are looking for candidates who can communicate clearly and confidently. If you say, "I'm very good at problem solving," you sound like everyone else. But if you say, "I'm superb at problem solving," or "I'm exceptional at finding solutions," you stand out. You show that you have a strong command of English and that you're not afraid to use it. This can be the difference between getting the job and being forgotten. But it's not just about work. It's about your personal life, too. Imagine you're on a date or meeting new friends. Instead of saying, "The restaurant is very nice," you say, "The restaurant is gorgeous." Instead of, "I'm very tired," you say, "I'm exhausted." These words make your stories more vivid, your feelings more real, and your presence more memorable. Now let's talk about the power of first impressions. Studies show that people form an opinion about you within the first few seconds of meeting you. The words you use are a big part of that impression. If you use basic, repetitive words, people might see you as basic or unremarkable. But if you use precise, expressive words, people see you as intelligent, interesting, and confident. This doesn't mean you have to use big words all the time. It means you should choose your words with care and use them to show who you really are. Let's do a quick exercise. Imagine you're describing your favorite place. You could say, "It's very beautiful, very quiet, and very comfortable." Or you could say, "It's gorgeous, silent, and cozy." Which version paints a clearer picture? Which version makes you want to visit? The second one, of course. That's the power of using the right words. But let's be honest. Change isn't always easy. There will be days when you forget to use your new words. There will be moments when you fall back into old habits. That's normal. The key is to keep going. Every time you catch yourself about to say very, pause. Take a breath. Remember your goal and choose a stronger word. Over time, this will become automatic. You'll find yourself using powerful words without even thinking about it. Here's another tip. Read as much as you can. The more you read, the more words you'll learn. Pay attention to how writers use language. Notice the words they choose, the images they create, and the emotions they evoke. Try to use some of those words in your own conversations. Reading is one of the best ways to expand your vocabulary and improve your English naturally. Let's talk about listening again. When you listen to native speakers, you'll notice that they rarely use very. Instead, they use words that are specific and expressive. Listen for words like packed, delicious, furious, or spotless. Notice how these words make their stories more interesting and their conversations more engaging.
The more you listen, the more you'll start to use these words yourself. Now, let's address a common fear. What if people don't understand you? What if you use a word that's too advanced? Here's the truth. Most people appreciate it when you use new words. It shows that you're making an effort to improve. And if someone doesn't understand, it's a great opportunity to explain and connect. Language is about communication, not perfection. The goal is to be understood and to express yourself fully. Let's look at another practical example. Imagine you're writing a review online. Instead of saying, "The service was very good," you write, "The service was superb." Instead of, "The room was very clean," you write, "The room was spotless." These words make your review more helpful and more memorable. They also help you practice using your new vocabulary in real situations. But don't just use these words for the sake of using them. Use them because they help you say exactly what you mean. Use them because they make your English more colorful, more precise, and more alive. The best speakers and writers are the ones who choose their words carefully, who think about the impact of every sentence, and who are always looking for ways to improve. As you continue your journey, remember that language is a living thing. It grows with you. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The more you challenge yourself, the more you'll achieve. And the more you share your words with the world, the more you'll inspire others to do the same. You've already taken the first step by watching this video and learning these powerful words. Now it's time to take the next step. Use them, practice them, share them, and watch as your English and your confidence reach new heights.
As we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to pause and reflect on what you've accomplished. You started with a simple goal, to stop saying very and to sound more like a native English speaker. But what you've gained is so much more than just a list of words. You've learned how to express yourself with clarity, with emotion, and with confidence. You've learned that language is not just about rules and grammar. It's about connection, about making people feel something, about leaving a mark. Now, let's talk about how you can keep this momentum going. Because real change doesn't happen overnight. It happens through small, consistent actions. The more you use these powerful words, the more natural they'll become. But you have to make a commitment to yourself. You have to decide that you're done with very. You have to decide that you're ready to speak with power. One of the best ways to do this is to create your own no very challenge. For the next 7 days, every time you catch yourself about to say very, stop. Take a breath. Think of one of the powerful words you've learned. Use it instead. It might feel awkward at first. You might hesitate. You might even make mistakes. But that's okay. Every time you choose a stronger word, you're building a new habit. And habits are what shape your future. Let's make this even more practical. Write down the 20 words you've learned today. Keep them somewhere you can see them, on your phone, on your desk, or in your notebook. Every morning, pick one word and make it your word of the day. Use it as many times as you can. Notice how people react. Notice how you feel. You'll be surprised at how quickly your confidence grows. But don't stop there. Challenge your friends, your classmates, or your colleagues to join you. Make it a game. Who can use the most powerful words in a conversation? Who can tell the best story using their new vocabulary? Learning is always more fun when you do it together. And when you surround yourself with people who want to grow, you grow even faster. Now let's talk about listening. One of the best ways to learn how native speakers use these words is to listen to them in real life. Watch movies, TV shows, and YouTube videos. Listen to podcasts and audiobooks. Pay attention to how people use words like exhausted, gorgeous, or crucial. Notice the situations, the emotions, and the context. The more you listen,
the more you'll understand the subtle differences between words. And the more you understand, the more natural your own English will become. Let's do a quick listening exercise. Imagine you're watching a movie and a character says, "I'm starving." What does that tell you about their situation? They're not just a little hungry, they need food right now. Or maybe you hear someone say, "The view is breathtaking." That's not just very beautiful, it's something so amazing it takes your breath away. These are the kinds of words that make English come alive. But what if you're not sure about a word? What if you hear a new word and you don't know what it means? Don't be afraid to ask. Native speakers love to explain their language. They'll respect you for wanting to learn. And every time you ask, you're adding another tool to your vocabulary toolbox. Now let's talk about writing again. Whether you're writing an email, a report, or a social media post, using powerful words can make your writing stand out. But here's a secret. Great writing isn't just about big words. It's about choosing the right word for the right moment. Sometimes a simple word is best. Other times, a powerful word can make all the difference. The key is to be intentional. Don't just use a word because it sounds impressive. Use it because it's the best word for what you want to say. Let's practice together. I'll give you a sentence, and you rewrite it using a more powerful word. Original: the test was very easy. Rewrite: the test was effortless. Original: the city is very crowded. Rewrite: the city is packed. Original: the movie was very bad. Rewrite: the movie was awful. Original: the answer is very important. Rewrite: the answer is crucial. See how much stronger your sentences become? This is the kind of English that gets noticed. But let's not forget about the emotional side of language. When you use powerful words, you're not just showing off your vocabulary, you're sharing your feelings. You're letting people see who you are, what you care about, and what matters to you. This is what makes language beautiful. This is what makes conversations meaningful. So as you move forward, remember this. Every word you choose is a reflection of you. Choose words that show your strength, your passion, and your personality. Don't settle for very. Don't settle for average. You have the power to speak with impact. You have the power to make people listen. And if you ever feel stuck, if you ever feel like you're not making progress, remember why you started. You started because you wanted more. More confidence, more connection, more opportunities. And every time you use a powerful word, you're getting closer to that goal. You're not just learning English, you're mastering it. You're not just speaking, you're inspiring. And you're not just using words, you're changing your world one conversation at a time.